This is The Gorge. It's a podcast where my friend Sara and I gorge ourselves on overanalyzing a topic.
The Gorge is brought to you by Patreon. That's patreon.com/thegorge, where for just $5 a month you gain access to not one but two podcasts. $5 gets you Takeout, a monthly commentary track where Ben and I, it's like 50% Transformers by volume at this point, but not intentionally. We just kind of keep picking Transformers stuff to talk over because, like I said, it's a commentary track. We pick things, we talk over it. It's easier than playing yet another video game in the week. And $2 gets you That's Hell You're Walking Into, a monthly series where...
That Transformers has also crept its way into.
Yeah, that's true, actually. Good point. But most of the time, it's about Fate and the Nasuverse in general, because it's a series where Ben asks me questions about Fate Stay Night, Fate Grand Order. Sometimes he accidentally asks a Tsukihime question. He don't know. I don't know.
I can't tell the difference.
You know, there's mystic guys, and there's fucking mages, and sex magic, and you know what? That all sounds like a Nasuverse to me, because it is. And you get that for $2. It's always very funny, because answering those questions is a fucking nightmare. So head on over to patreon.com/thegorge and kick in however much you want. And if you're broke, because God knows a lot of us are these days, then tell your friends, tell your richer friends to come donate to our Patreon. We would really appreciate that. And frankly, even if you can't donate, we also still appreciate you. Don't worry.
Yeah, and don't forget to join our Discord. Facebook went down today for a few hours. You know what'll never go down? Discord.
No. Ben, that's very... No, okay, that's very bold of you to say.
It'll never ever go down.
Okay.
Nope, never once. Discord has never gone down.
Discord never ever fucking goes down.
Discord has never ever ruined a recording session by going down.
It's fine, don't worry about it. Ben's just working through some trauma.
Thank you to Steel Condor, Nihar Bot, Red Lantern Reviews, Holy Star 64, Neon Hellcat, Patrick Perez, Roddy 1/2, Hasotobi 27, Saturn, Alice Marks, Shia, Otzi, Magus, Aquamancer, Jack, Liam Lane, and that other one dude.
Yay, I'm starting to memorize the list at this point.
Yeah. Once it hits 20 is when I'm gonna start breaking out, like, I'm only gonna read your name if you're like this tier or above.
Yeah, we're getting there, but for now,
yeah.
you're all getting thank yous because we love all of you.
Yeah.
So
Sara, what are we doing tonight?
we were gonna finally talk about 2064 and Boyfriend Dungeon because we said we've been meaning to do that for a while. It's been on the schedule. There's a schedule available on the Discord now.
We've been excited for Boyfriend Dungeon for a very long time. You know, we've been waiting with bated breath for it.
And then Toby Fox put out Deltarune Chapter 2.
This literally feels like a Deltarune thing.
I was literally listening to our last episode, like, just kind of clicking through it, like listening to our last Deltarune episode. And that episode opens with a bit about how we had already done our 3 episodes for the month. And we had to do a 4th so we could talk about it ASAP. So it was like our bonus episode that month. Because this is a Deltarune thing. It really is just Toby Fox just kicking open the door being like, video game time now. Oh, okay.
I'm literally imagining a scenario in Deltarune where, like, you're being set up like it's Chris, Susie, and Ralsei, and they're like being invited to go on this epic journey through a dungeon, and you're introduced to a slew of characters who are like you know living weapons that transform, and like we're going to introduce a bunch of new game mechanics, and then the dog just kind of motion tweens into the scene. And shoves all the other characters out of the way.
The only character that matters is dog. The only video game that matters? Video games made by dog. So, yeah, here we are yet again. It's been 2 years, folks. And we are once again putting on our clown hats and our two-tone sunglasses. And we're talking about Deltarune / Undertale. The way things are going, the podcast itself will be like 5% Undertale. by the time the last episodes are out in 2035. So I'm looking forward to it. It's a 5% Undertale, 5%, probably more, percent Tales and Persona, and then all the other shit.
And then 90% Transformers.
And then 90% Transformers, unfortunately. But hey, it's fine.
But yeah, so the dog came and was like, "Hey, all of you like content creators and like LPers, we're gonna throw your schedules in the garbage."
I'm here to ruin your day again. Bark, bark. It's like, oh man. So the dog ruined our day again, and by ruined, I mean consumed the entire Saturday. Where I was like, I guess it's finally time to play Deltarune Chapter 2, and then I couldn't put it down because it's really good. Shocker.
It's really good and really short, so you can very easily beat it in an afternoon.
It's very nice. Amazingly, the guy who made... Hey, Ben. The guy who made Undertale, that video game, I, really like. Turns out his other video game is also, really good.
His other game that reuses a lot of the same characters and springboards off the same, thematic elements? Wow, shocker.
Yeah. Shocker, wow, oh my god. What do you mean it's also super good? So at this point, also, it's very funny. At this point, the 2 chapters of Deltarune are now as long or longer than the entirety of Undertale. And I had just forgotten how short Undertale is. I had just completely... maybe it's because I played Undertale several times at this point. So I've just conflagrated its length. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to the rest of the chapters. Just so it's like, oh wow, this is actually a pretty substantial little video game. Cool.
Yeah, like in prep to starting Deltarune Chapter 2, I went back into Chapter 1 and I was like, oh, I'm done. Oh, okay.
That was quick.
I thought there was more I forgot, but no, I just remembered everything. Okay.
Yeah, it's very concise. All of his video games so far are quite concise. Apparently Chapter 2 is going to be the longest chapter in the game, in the entirety of Deltarune. 2 is the longest.
I guess that's why 3 through 5 are coming out as one, and then 6 and 7 are coming out as the second batch.
Right. Someday.
Yeah.
Maybe someday we'll actually see part 6 and... Unfortunately, Toby Fox has introduced a new anxiety into my life that I didn't need, which is that I will have to continue living for the sake of seeing how Deltarune ends now.
Right?
So it's like, oh, I can't die here. I have to play Deltarune. It's like an anime character.
You have to live to see Azrael.
Yeah, I have to see whatever the fuck is going on with Ralsei. I ain't trust that goat. We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
But I don't trust the goat. Do not trust the goat. Do not hug that goat. Unfortunately, you should not hug this goat yet. Because, untrustworthy.
But yeah, so obviously, it's Deltarune. It's a very short experience. And it is one of those things that is best experienced, straight up. Just go and play it. It's free. And it's 4 hours long. Just go do that.
Go do it.
Before listening to this.
Because we're not going to really try to dodge spoilers. Sorry.
Yeah. Also,
it's short and free. That means you have no excuse.
Yeah. Also, it's so funny that I don't want to ruin any of the jokes for you.
It is legitimately an insanely funny video game. I guess that's a good place to start.
Yeah.
This is one of the funniest fucking video games I've ever played in my entire life.
I don't remember the last time I cracked up this much playing a video game. Actual laughter.
There's so many amazing, stupid gags, and I'm obsessed with all of them. I love Queen. Everything she does is just extremely funny. It's amazing, honestly.
It started off for me, the first one I had was walking out of the school to the library, and seeing Undyne lifting cars.
Yeah. Oh, we're off to a great start, huh? It's just oh, perfect.
There. Oh, but even before that, actually, now that I think about it, the joke that got me was when Noelle gives Susie the lunchbox.
Yeah.
And her reaction is, wait, Noelle had chalk this whole time and didn't tell Alphys?
I love the trash orb that you carry on your head.
Yes.
Like the eternal recurring joke of, like, we're not gonna make it. Fuck you. We're not making another sprite for the main character of the game carrying anything. We're just gonna put it on their head.
Yep.
Like, even though this game is bursting at the seams with fucking sprites, no, Chris will never hold anything in their hands, ever.
Even though Chris themselves is way more expressive than Frisk.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Just because they have, like, battle animations and everything. No, you do not carry anything. It just balances on your head.
It goes on your head.
When you're carrying that, did you go south at all?
Yes.
And you see Alphys talking to
Toriel?
To Toriel, yeah.
Are they being good? It's like, yeah, they're my favorite student. And then Alphys, you just imagine, like, Alphys just slowly creaking her head to the side, and there's Chris with, like, a trash orb on their head.
So I did this my second playthrough because I learned it. You can call Toriel while she's talking to Alphys. And the prompt you get is, I'm normal.
A totally normal thing to tell your mother. Yes, Mom, I am normal. Worry not.
So yeah, so it's right away it's off to a fantastic start.
Oh my god, no.
Like, the reveal that after that horrible end of chapter 1 that had us all, like, going insane and wondering what happened, it turns out that Chris's horrible action was to eat all the pie.
Was to eat all the pie and leave. I like that they have, like, their own specific knife, though, because Toriel is like, I know that's your knife, and it's like,
yeah.
You know you have a weird kid when you, like, it's like, that's your knife in my pie tin. It's like, you got a weird kid. That's okay.
Toriel might have needed to establish boundaries when Chris was growing up.
You know, you got, like, your kid is adopted, and then your parents get, like, divorced, and it's like, you know what? The divorce part alone is just ensuring that it's just gonna be, you're just gonna have a weird kid. Sorry.
I think one of the funniest things about chapter 2, that, like, the most awkwardly funniest things, someone pointing out that Asgore is the most divorced character to ever exist.
He is the most divorced dad in any video game ever. It is insane. Did you get the thing in the supermarket?
Yes, I did.
At the end of the game, I've never felt more viscerally uncomfortable for a character while also just losing my mind, like, cry laughing.
It's such a funny thing, because we talked about it the first time. It's like, oh, these are the characters you recognize, but they're interpreted in something different. And, like,
right.
it will comment on you having expectations for these characters that get subverted because they're not the same, you know, like,
right.
Alphys and Undyne don't know each other and everything like that. I do like that apparently Asgore and Toriel getting divorced is a universal constant.
Yes.
And I love that, like, in Undertale, it's a very, like, you know, dramatic and sincere thing that they split up, and, like, you know, Asgore is a very sympathetic character, and you can really grasp, like, why they split up and why he had to turn his back on everyone underground, like, you know, to fulfill this, what he thought was the right thing to do.
Sure.
And in Deltarune, they're just divorced.
They're just, mommy and daddy don't love each other anymore, kids. And
Asgore is pathetic.
He's not handling it well. He's just not. How about your ex-husband? And that was the exact moment I wanted to die. I was
Yeah.
just like, oh, buddy, no,
Like,
not
even-
like this.
Even Susie was like, so, Chris, that was,
We're not going to talk about it, actually. You know what? We're going to move on.
even Sans is like, you need to
Yeah,
go.
I was about to say, when something's too awkward for Sans, like the man who loves telling, like, shitty, awkward jokes.
Sans, who cherishes awkward silence more than genuine laughter.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, no, man, you gotta... Sir, this is a Wendy's. My dude, this is the 7-Eleven. You have got to go. It's so good. There's just so many, like, oh, God. There's the joke's too funny. God damn
I know.
it. Comedy police. The joke's too funny.
That's what happens this entire time. The minute you meet Queen... And Toby Fox does a fantastic job of just in general writing characters who not so much revel in being villains, but revel in being irritating.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's not that they're evil, it's that they're annoying and they love it. Oh my god.
Queen,
their favorite thing.
Queen knows that she's being obnoxious and annoying. And then on the same page, you also get characters who are so completely unaware of how annoying they are because because the dynamic between Queen and Birdley is the best.
Yeah, oh my god. Everything involving Queen, like, trying to avoid Birdley, or, like, just trying to ignore Birdley, and not being able to, like, he just won't let her.
One of my favorite in battle bits is between turns during the first Birdley fight on the roller coaster.
Yeah.
When it's like Birdley asks Queen what kind of snacks they have at home. Queen gives a thumbs up. She has earpods in.
Yeah, all of the battle dialogue there is so good because it's constantly like he's waiting for and even I was like waiting for like the turn when Queen would also swoop in and fight you, but she never does.
No.
She's just like, no, I don't want to put up with this awful kid, this extremely annoying kid. Oh, Birdley.
It's just great. It's
super good. Oh god. There's it's literally just packed to the brim with fucking jokes. Like it's very Mel Brooks, like the way he does comedy, where he says like, I'm just gonna pack it with jokes, and if one doesn't land, then who cares? We've already moved on to the next one, you know? Like, that's the thing he said about, I think it was when he was being interviewed about Spaceballs or something like that. But literally, like, his whole comedy ethos is just like, just keep telling jokes, because if one falls flat, it doesn't matter. The next one will get a laugh, you know?
It's got that, like, that tone of, like, early Simpsons or early Futurama where it's just rolling.
Yeah.
Like, jokes are just constantly coming in. There's a sentence of setup, there's a payoff, there's another payoff after that, and it just keeps rolling.
Yeah, we don't have time to slow down. We're gonna keep telling jokes. We're gonna have like Queen popping in on her big screens in the dining hall, and all the tables. One of them has a key in it, and you know, Queen's being funny and annoying, and it's like, okay, that's the joke, right? We got to go through all these fucking tables to find the key. No, they reset. Oh, the dog is underneath one of the tables, so I guess we're gonna ride the dog under the table to crash through a door. And it's the best. It just keeps going. It's just like keep layering jokes.
Chris, get the banana.
Excellent setup and later payoff. To have it pay off like way, way later in the fucking in the tunnel of love, I guess, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, the tunnel of battery acid.
Yeah, the tunnel of battery acid. It's after all of that, it's like, Chris, get the banana still. It's like, okay. So good.
When you know, because it's Noelle puts a cardboard box over her head, and that's enough to fool Queen.
Right. She says, my facial recognition software thinks you look like a cool robot.
She won't let Noelle go with Chris when they're stuck in the traffic jam, and you think like, oh, she might be up to something. It's like, no, you need to listen to all of my mixtape, and then
you gotta listen to my cool tunes.
And then she gives you the mixtape, and then you check your inventory, and Lancer ate it.
I keep forgetting Lancer is in there too.
I know.
Oh god, it's just endless. It's the best. There's so many. Like I said, I love Noelle hiding in the alley, and then Queen hiding above her in the alley as well. Like both of them to avoid Noelle to avoid Queen, and Queen to avoid Birdley, and it just keeps going. It's so funny. Oh my god.
Noelle's expression during that scene is the best, too.
She's just looking up. She's just like, oh my god. Noelle is... Oh, go ahead.
Like, this can't be still working.
Noelle is my favorite kind of, like, comedy character, where she's not really, like, the straight man. Like, that's kind of Ralsei's job, right?
Yeah.
Like, Noelle is the comedy character where she doesn't know what's going on, and all of this is confusing her, but she's also just like, okay, I guess this is happening now.
She's too polite to, like, confront the situation.
Talk about how insane this all seems. No. We're
like
just gonna go with it.
Her refuge is Chris, but even Chris gets in on way too much of it for it to, like...
Yeah.
Noelle is always just, like, one step behind.
She's still kind of trying to keep up with the joke that got told 20 minutes ago, you know?
Yeah. Like, I love the scene where you get your first battle with her, and... The enemy has to explain how the battle combat system works.
The screen goes black, and it's literally you and the enemy explain to Noelle how battle works, and it's like, that's amazing. That's a great joke.
So, and she's like, wait, so if we're just nice to you, then you'll surrender? Yeah.
Yep. Okay. And then, like, trying to convince Noelle to put the doctor outfit on for the one. And she's just like, so in order to convince them to be nice to us, we have to put on a costume? Yes.
Yeah, that's how it works. Keep up. Come on.
Come on, Noelle, pay attention. Are you listening?
When you do your fight with Birdley with her, and then afterwards she's like, he hit me in the face with a tornado.
Oh god, it's so good.
I hope chapter 3 lets us just have all 4 of them.
Oh god, yeah, absolutely. Like let us have the whole team together. No Birdley though. Sorry, Birdley.
Yeah, no Birdley. Not him.
Sorry, Birdley. You do have a heart of gold somewhere in there. I'm aware that you have one somewhere in there. But
he put it in his statue though, so it's, you know.
But I can't abide by it. I'm sorry. I have my limits. You are my limits, actually, in terms of annoying characters that I can't take.
What was it where in for Undertale, there's like Toby Fox like loves all these characters so much, but he's like, why did I make Onion-san?
Why did I do this? That's what Birdley is.
Yeah.
Like, why did I make this character like this? I know he's a good guy. I know he's coming from, like, he's got his heart in the right place. However, I want nothing to do with it. I'm sorry, Birdley. I want nothing to do with your character development. Leave me alone.
I love it's the scene after the Ferris wheel where Susie and Noelle
Yeah, they have their wonderful moment.
Yeah, it's a beautiful, touching moment, and then Berkeley's dumbass flying sprite gently wafting out of the corner of the screen.
One of the funniest gags is Noelle going, "What? What?
Yeah.
What? What?" Just shaking him by the shirt. Looks so much like she's strangling him, and I'm like, yes, kill. Do it.
It just, the humor is like, I went back and I redid chapter 1, you know, but it's like the writing is so much tighter in chapter 2.
Oh yeah.
There's so much more of it happening, like, per second, basically.
Sure. Like, it never stops. Yeah.
No, it's great.
It's just constant. Like, we've got jokes on jokes on jokes. We've got even like sound and sight gags. I love the horrible noise, the splat noise when you go into Lancer's room.
Yeah.
Same splat noise when you stand on Ralsei.
That I was about to, like, that is just perfect timing.
Oh yeah.
Of like Ralsei being a step stool and then not being able to support Chris and Susie's weight.
Yeah. So he just immediately collapses, but it's fine. It's enough of a step stool for them.
Yeah.
The excellent sight gag of Chris not being able to reach the controls of the game and just immediately collapsing in despair.
One of the few times we see Chris, like, perform an action without input from the player.
Yeah, and like emote, and it's really funny.
I think the best is Queen leaning her arm on Chris's head.
Yeah, yeah. You don't do rash things like have opinions. Oh, it's the best. It's the best. It's just the best. I mean, it's just so funny. It's so hard for like really funny video games to be a thing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, video games have a hard time with humor, and I don't know if that's the people writing them or if it's the medium. It's probably a little bit of both. But like every time video games try to be funny, like be a comedy game, like, oof. It's just like comedy movies, you know?
Yeah,
like,
because games rely too much on like player input, it's hard to do timing, which is like 60% of what makes a joke funny.
Right, yeah.
But this one nails it, and I think it is just because all these characters are so unabashed in being jerks.
Yeah, one of my favorite things about like this cast, to kind of, I guess, start talking about like not just the jokes, but like the story of the Undertale game. Yeah. I think like one of my favorite things about like this cast is just how much the main cast sucks. Like, I think it's extremely funny how much like the running joke that they're just all idiots. Like, basically when Birdley comes clean, is like, I'm not actually that smart. Susie's like, okay, none of us are.
Yeah.
Welcome. We're all idiots, actually. My favorite trope ever is like misfits save the day. Like, team of misfits.
Yeah, it's the best.
Who suck in the real world. They kick ass in the fantasy world, and they get to be like cool heroes who save the day. Like, sorry, it's still the best. It's timeless for a reason. It's because it's funny and awesome. So.
Yeah, I think what sets this up, like, the interesting dynamic of the main trio is that having Chris as a silent vector between Ralsei and Susie is what makes it work so much better than if it was just Ralsei and Susie.
Oh yeah, you have Chris there as like a buffer between the two of them, for them to bounce off of.
It's like the adage I remember reading when I was looking up stuff for the Blue Man Group, like reading about them, where it's like the reason there are 3 of them is because 3 is the smallest number to exclude someone. And
that's awesome.
That's like I think why this trio works so well is because Chris can go to either one of them to exclude the other.
Yeah, to just ignore the other one. Yeah,
and a joke can be made at their expense, and it's freeing. It's a lot better than having like just the 2 of them go back and forth. You know.
Sure. Yeah, and like the joke. The joke also can be when they are separated from Chris, what do they get up to, you know? And we see a little bit of that, and we get to see some Susie and Ralsei bonding kind of when we're separated from them, which is great.
Yeah, which is apparently the answer is they go to the carnival and get cotton candy and have a great time.
they have a good old time. Susie learns to heal 2 whole points of damage for 100% TP. Great.
Yeah.
The best healing. Thank you, Susie. It's like a continuing running joke of everybody getting everybody else's skills because finally the other 2 can start like acting in battle without needing to be told by Chris. Thank God.
There's a speedrun strat in that, by the way.
No?
Which is get Chris knocked out.
Oh.
And then Ralsei and Susie will learn how to do it immediately.
Oh, cool. Strats. I love learning speedrun strats. There's also a speedrun strat where if you just go back to bed after... It has to be your second playthrough, but if you go back to bed after Toriel tells you to get up, it'll just skip to you being in the Dark World.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so probably would have been a good thing for you to know.
Yeah.
Second playthrough, but it's okay.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I like playing Deltarune, so it's okay.
Yeah, cool. I like these jokes.
It took me like 15 minutes to get to the Dark World, so it's fine.
That's true. We are not professional speedrunners. We're just here to play this video game.
But yeah, like there's additions to the gameplay. There's the whole recruit thing, and like the implication, like the town will be like a hub, I guess, sort of.
Yeah, that makes sense because we're like erasing the other dark worlds, so all those people that we spare have to go somewhere. So it's like this is kind of where you go back to. There are crafting recipes that you can't fulfill. One of them is actually very interesting. When we'll talk about it a little bit when we talk about Snowgrave. Yeah. Because we are going to talk about Snowgrave.
We are gonna talk about Snowgrave and Spamton, but we're just building up to that.
Sure, absolutely. But like there's crafting recipes, and some of those crafting recipes are for things you either can only get on alternate routes, or it's for stuff you can't get yet, from what I understand. Like, some of the stuff, obviously, because, like, the weird thing is that you do have to remember that Chapter 2 is part of a larger video game. It's weird. It feels more like part of a larger video game than Part 1 ever did, right? Like, by the addition of, like, mechanics and stuff, and like a town hub, and the recruitment thing, and crafting recipes that will become important later. It's like, oh, that's right. And I mean, obviously, when you fire this game up, if you just go straight to Chapter 2, it shows you that there's 7 chapters in all. And you're like, oh, that's right. This is part of a full video game.
Yeah, and part of it is also like, it's just a straight continuation of Chapter 1. Like, everything carries over, you know?
Right.
These aren't 2 separate games that you're loading up. Like, it's all the same.
Yeah, it's all part of one larger game, and it's just, you know, it's very interesting to kind of, I guess, make the mental connection finally that, like, oh, right, Deltarune is actually going to be pretty big compared to Undertale. Like, it's actually going to be pretty expansive.
Yeah, like a fuller fledged game. Like, if each part is, like, you know, this average, like, 3 to 4 hours, This is going to end up being like a 20-hour RPG.
Yeah, it's like a proper, like a Chrono Trigger,
Yeah.
It's like, because like Chrono Trigger is a pretty lean little JRPG, so it'll be pretty comparable to that actually, which is very interesting. There's a lot of very interesting like little things that I can't stop thinking about, like the fact that there's 7 chapters, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's 7 heart colors in OG Undertale. And
right.
In this, when you finally fight Spamton, Chris actually does change their heart color to yellow, which is the color it turned when it turned like into a projectile during the Metaton fight in Undertale, right?
Right.
So it's like, oh, okay. So each chapter is a day, and presumably at some point in each chapter you get a different heart color, which will do something. I don't think... I still haven't done the damn Jevil fight. I have not had the time to do the Jevil fight yet. I need to make time for that.
Yeah. I haven't either, but I have watched people do it. There's no heart color change in that one.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. Yeah,
but
if it's...
that's red then.
Yeah, so that's red. Yeah, exactly. So you start with red, and then with every chapter, it's like another day and a different heart color. What does that mean? I don't know. I don't know what any of this means.
It's super unclear. We got like a hint of an answer by the end of this game.
I'm terrified of speculating on Deltarune because I'm like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, we got like small hints that like give us a name for something. We still don't know what it means or what importance it's gonna have. But
right,
the idea of 7 days, 7 chapters. Asriel is set to come back from a week from now. Mm-hmm. And there's apparently a festival that's going to happen
in chapter 3. Yeah, that's the implication, is that like there's like a town festival that is happening that's supposed to start the next day, which is in this case chapter 3. So it's like, okay, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Like, what's gonna happen?
We still don't know what's in that cave, in that tunnel.
Yeah, the door, the blocked off door, is that what you mean? Yeah. The door is extremely suspicious. Like, I just look at it and I'm like, what do you lead to? If it leads to the underground, I'll probably scream and throw up and cry.
Yeah.
Because I won't know what to do then. I'll just turn into a gibbering lunatic, standing on the side of the street with like a sandwich board, like the end is near,
Yeah.
Just totally, my brain just reduced to mush, just like that.
Like, what if this turns out to be the Undertale prequel?
That's what we were saying. Well, no, we said last episode that what if it turns out that Undertale is the AU to Deltarune?
To Deltarune, yeah.
Which is kind of true. We went over it last episode, but like this was technically the first idea. And then Toby Fox was like, I can't make this story yet. I don't have the resources. I'm gonna make something smaller. So he made Undertale instead. Apparently, he came up with the idea for Deltarune from a dream. Which I'm just like, what are you telling? Are you telling me that like Deltarune was like divinely inspired? Is that what's happening right now?
Like, what part of this was the dream that you had?
Did you like?
Because you didn't have a 20-hour dream divided into 7 chapters.
No, but I'm sure like ideas of it. I guess like the dark world and the light world kind of stuff is like a dream. But like, I don't know. I'm very curious, like, about what's gonna happen next. Like, where is this all leading? What's, there. Like I said, do not trust the goat. Okay, we can finally talk about the goat. We're far enough in. I do not trust the goat, Benjamin. I do not trust him. The goat, at this point, is like, the first game he's just kind of like cute. Or the first chapter, I suppose, he's just kind of cute. I don't know, there's just something kind of weird. Maybe it's just the fact that he is just like Asriel from Undertale, and Azrael was up to some shit in Undertale, you know, being the whole flower that... Excuse me.
I don't know what to think of Ralsei.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just... and it could just be that, like, my impressions are colored from when I played Undertale, but also, like, I know, like, the kind of story that Toby Fox seems to like to tell, because at first it's like, well, Deltarune is something completely different, and we shouldn't project expectations from Undertale onto it, right?
Right. I mean, yeah, that's he said chapter 1 was like, you should play Undertale first for that.
Yeah.
But it seems like by chapter 2, he's trying to not distance himself from Undertale, because he can't, because it's the same characters are being reused, but like distance the narrative from being like Undertale.
But like, not really. That's what I was gonna say, is that like there is this, you know, this whole running idea of things not being what they seem, and the kind of, and this goes to Snowgrave, but it also kind of just goes to like the whole, what's kind of going on is what I call like the dark heart of Undertale. Which is that there is in all of these games kind of an underlying sinisterness, I suppose, that's kind of boiling under the surface at all times. And you don't see it very often until like things kind of explode. But when you do see it, it explodes in a big way, like the end of like fucking Photoshop Flowey, right?
Right.
And like all of chapter 2 is pretty benign in terms of that kind of underlying maliciousness, until you get to Spamton, and then again at the end of chapter 2, where, and I mean, it happened in chapter 1, but it was like, that's kind of weird. But then chapter 2, like, pushes it even harder into being like, no, there's something sincerely, like, fucked up going on, at least in my head. Because it's not just that, like, Chris hates the player character, which is what's kind of going on. But, like, when Chris is in control of themselves, like, they slash the family car's tires.
So I have a lot of thoughts about Chris's actions when they tear the heart out. Okay. And because part of the thing of this is that Ralsei gives this kind of phenomenon a name, right? Like, we hear more about the Knight in this one, because the Queen makes mention of it, and Ralsei explains, like, what the Knight actually does and why they need to seal all the fountains, why they can't just open as many as they want, right?
Right.
And so we get the idea that, like, you know, Chris is using their knife to open fountains, right?
Right, yeah, because the Queen mentions that she gave Noelle a pin, and all she needs to do is stab the pin into the ground, and it'll make a new fountain.
Yeah, and Birdley implies that his halberd can do the same, right?
Right. So
what's interesting is that, you know, one of the things we talked about the first time is that, like, when you're in the real world, characters comment, like, Chris is acting differently than normal when the player is controlling them, right? Like, they're nicer, they're more open, they're more talkative.
Sure.
And whatnot. They make mention that, like, Chris used to play pranks on people. Like, they scared Noelle one day by hiding under her bed. But there's never been any implication that Chris has been, like, violent or, like, destructive.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, and when between chapter 1 and 2, we see Chris tear the heart out, throw it in the birdcage. And I checked, the blood stain on the carpet was already there.
Okay.
And the birdcage, like, there's never any implication of, like, the birdcage is there for a bird that is now dead or gone or whatever. Mm-hmm. And the only thing Chris did besides open the fountain in Cyberworld was eat Toriel's pie, right?
Right.
That was their sinister act like that.
Yeah.
It's only after you learn what the night is and, like, what opening these fountains can do that Chris gets violent enough to slash Toriel's car's tire.
Right.
And not only that, they opened the next fountain directly in the living room where Susie and Toriel are sleeping.
Right, yeah.
So I don't actually know for sure if Chris's actions without the heart are meant to be the real Chris. Or if that's the night controlling them.
Maybe?
Like,
I don't know. That's not a bad idea. But, like, the player character is very clearly not Chris either.
Right. That's a holdover from Undertale. The idea is that, like, you are controlling or guiding the child, but you are, like, their actions. Yeah, you're not directly controlling them. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Because
that's a good point.
The other thing is that, like, Chris seems to be, like, in pain or not fully, like, their bodily functions aren't in full control when they rip the heart out.
Yeah,
and
they're I don't know, you could almost make the argument that they're, like, resisting against something.
Yeah, like, they, or whatever is controlling them is not used to a human body.
Right.
And, you know, if that's just how Chris behaved, people would say that.
Yeah.
They'd be like, look at you, Chris, walking like a human being now.
Being normal, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That's very strange.
Like, there's no doubt Chris was a weird kid growing up.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. Very strange child. God love him.
But, like, them taking an action that would make Toriel call the police doesn't seem like normal Chris behavior.
Yeah.
Because, like, and, you know, it's even kind of, like, hinted at because, like, Susie asks, like, what's Chris doing in the bathroom? And it's like, oh, sometimes they do that. They just take a while sometimes.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
I
don't know.
I don't know what it means. But
I have no idea what it means.
I don't know if I'm also, like, desperately just don't want to believe that Chris is a psychopath and that we are forcing them to do things they don't want to do.
Yeah, it's very, I don't know. This is as good a time as any to talk about, like, how interesting, like, this kind of dynamic from Undertale is being played in this game, where, like, even more so than Frisk, like, Chris just doesn't seem to like you, the player, very much. Or at the very least wants to stay, like, very removed from the player. There's a lot of times in this game where we're not made privy to the things that they're seeing. We don't get to actually see what's in Asriel's room. We don't actually get to see, or they don't really elaborate on why. If you read, like, the book in the library on caring for human children, they flip through it and they close it very quickly because it makes them uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. And obviously that doesn't get elaborated on because it's whatever's going on inside of, like, their inner world. And, like, that's really interesting it's a good old-fashioned subversion of tropes where the idea is that silent protagonists are historically supposed to be this idea of someone who doesn't speak, so you can more effortlessly slot yourself into those shoes. That's why Gordon Freeman doesn't talk, for example. Yeah. And the idea is that they don't have a voice because you're supposed to be their voice. But in this case, it's really wild just how distant Chris feels from the player. How much we're not allowed inside their head.
Yeah.
And how it almost feels like they're quiet. They don't talk because they don't want you, the player, to know anything about them. Like, they're specifically being quiet in order to kind of keep themselves closed off. Like, they want to be more like introverted and disconnected from people than like the player is letting them, which is a really interesting and very kind of uncomfortable dynamic. It's very different from Frisk, who is in a similar situation, but who is more like it doesn't feel as like helplessly out of their control, you know?
Yeah, because they're a child.
They're like a little kid, yeah, and so until you do genocide, it's more like you're just trying to kind of help this little kid along. But with Chris, it's really more so that, you know, you are kind of infringing on the autonomy of a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
A teenager who does like their friends, who obviously likes Susie a lot.
Right.
But who maybe necessarily isn't very comfortable with being made to, like, being forced to be more likable.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, I think it's very interesting, as someone pointed out, like, it's kind of implied that the real Chris doesn't like Ralsei that much.
You know, they obviously don't dislike him, I don't think, but I also think that like Ralsei is very much like, "Ooh, do you have a crush on me, Chris?" And Chris is like, "You look like my older brother." No.
Right. Like there's a bit where like Noelle asks like, who would you take on a someone asks who would you take on the Ferris wheel?
Right.
And if you say Ralsei, they'll kind of like, "Why did you sound like confused when you said that?"
Oh, yeah, okay, that's good. I said Susie, so I didn't see that line.
Yeah.
Because everybody wants to take Susie on a Ferris wheel. Everybody loves Susie. Susie is the best character in this game.
Right, but I was in that moment I was Susie's wingman, so I'm like, no.
Oh, that makes sense.
I'm gonna pick Ralsei so that Noelle can ask
true.
Susie.
You're being a good friend. You.
It's like Noelle's like, are you hitting on me for Susie?
But no, that's really interesting that they sound kind of confused when, you know.
If because you can go, one of the items you can get in the city is tea based on everyone.
Right, yeah.
And it does different stats. It heals more HP depending on who the relationship is. Like,
right.
Noelle and Ralsei, Noelle doesn't get much healing from Ralsei's tea because she doesn't know Ralsei.
Right.
And neither does Chris. Chris gets less HP from Ralsei's tea than Ralsei gets from Chris's.
Ooh, okay.
And they get a lot from Susie, and right. I think they get more from Noelle than they get from Ralsei.
They get the most from Susie, and then I think after that it goes Noelle and then Ralsei and then themselves.
Yeah.
Just as like a fun side note, everybody thinks their own tea tastes very bland, which I think is just like a neat detail. Like if Ralsei drinks his own tea, he thinks it's very bland. So I'm like, oh, that's cute. That's a fun little detail because it's like, you know, it's based on like your perceptions and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's very... Like, I don't think Chris dislikes Ralse. I am very suspicious of Ralse. Because I played Undertale, and was traumatized by that horrid little flower. So, I look at the Goat Boy now, and I'm like, I don't know about this kid.
And I think that's incorrect, because that's too obvious.
I don't know, man.
But it could also be so obvious
that it loops back around
that you disregard it.
Listen, I'm just saying it can't be that obvious, because like 85% of the fucking fandom has leaped onto the Ralse is just a good uwu boy train. You know what I mean?
I mean, I think if Ralse were up to something at all, I still don't think he would let himself get humiliated so easily by someone as dumb as Susie.
That's not true in the slightest. Did you pay attention to Sans Undertale in the first game?
Yeah, but
an idiot who makes whoopee cushion jokes and then whips your ass up and down the road in genocide route. Like, come on.
Yeah, but like we said, Sans loves the uncomfortableness more than he loves the actual the laughter.
That's fair. But I'm just saying, like, listen, so, when you fight Spamton, we're having this conversation now. Fuck you. When you fight Spamton, after the fight, they can sit, Susie and Ralse ask Chris, like, hey, are you okay? You're acting really weird. And if you say no, I know if you say yes, you get a hug, and that's cute.
Yeah.
Like, that's sweet, good. But if you say no, Chris is, like, extremely upset, and Ralse is just like, oh, don't yell, everything's fine. And it's like, that's suspicious. Okay, I'm just saying that it feels like maybe Ralse just wants everybody to stick to a specific script. Like, maybe he's not, like, specifically evil, and maybe not intentionally up to something, but no. I don't trust like that. I like I said, I played too much Undertale. I'm not like that anymore. Alphys had a bunch of fucking homunculi monsters in her basement, and she's just a goofy fucking dinosaur girl who watches anime. I don't trust like that anymore.
Do you think Alphys is up to something in Deltarune?
No, because Alphys is just like, I mean, I don't know, the fucking Undertale characters, it's odd that nobody from Undertale is like, except, well, Toriel and Azrael are. Like, right now it's just strange. It's a misdirect, I feel like, that all of the Undertale characters are just like some guys in this game. And I'm waiting for that to come back around. I don't know how, but I feel it in my bones. My funny bone.
I'm not sure. Because this is the brilliance of Toby Fox's writing.
Yeah, got everybody suspecting each other.
That, you don't know, like, there he is, there's Sans, and he runs a convenience store now. Mm-hmm. But like, he's like, if we talked about last time, like, if last episode where if you go to like him, he's like, oh hey Sans, he's like, how do you know my name? Like,
right.
We've never met before. What?
Right. Sans, let us hang out with your brother.
Yeah, that sucked too, by the way.
You asshole.
It's like, hey, are we supposed to hang out with Papyrus? Yeah, he won't be ready. Maybe in 2 years.
You bastard! What do you mean 2 years? I'm gonna die.
Did you check the door?
Yeah, the distant sound of bones trussling. I'm like,
but it's like the bones are getting further and further away.
No! I'm just crying and banging on the door. Like, Papyrus, please open up. I just want to be your friend.
I am glad though that the idea of like Papyrus being the antisocial gamer, like his beta prototype was.
They just gave that to Birdly instead.
Yeah, it's just Birdly, so he'll be regular Papyrus.
Oh, thank God. Oh, thank God. Do not.
We gave that personality to Birdly, so it's fine.
It's that meme of like the one guy sleeping and the soldier getting stabbed in the back. with like guns and grenades and knives and shit. And it's being an awkward, annoying gamer boy, and that's Birdly, while Papyrus sleeps peacefully in bed.
Yeah, so we can honor Birdly for taking that blow.
Thank you, Birdly. You spared us the worst version of Papyrus. I would have never forgiven Toby Fox. I would have just showed up at his house. I don't know where that dog lives, but I would have showed up at his dog house and be like, "How dare you do this to my boy?" You can make Asgore the most awkward divorced man in the world, but you can't do anything to my boy.
You cannot ruin Papyrus. No one likes Asgore in general. If you make Papyrus into an annoying character, there will be riots.
It's true. We'll all be in the streets with pitchforks. I'll not abide by it. So, but no, the point about all of this is because we've been off on a tangent.
Yeah, the point is that I can understand why you'd be suspicious. I
don't trust the goat.
I'm not suspicious because I can't afford to be suspicious.
It'll just drive you insane.
Because if I start second guessing like everything a character says, I'm gonna just go insane.
Just go mad. Yeah, that's fair.
Like
You go.
It's gonna be like Susie gonna be like, "Yum, chalk," and I'll be like, "What do you mean by that?"
Does that have a double meaning, Susie? She's like, "No, I just like chalk. What the fuck?"
I have a tummy ache and it's an antacid.
Yeah, chalk, and also chalk tastes good according to Susie. So is moss according to Susie.
Yeah.
Susie is the best character in this game.
According to Susie.
According to everyone, including Chris.
Yeah. No. The best character is Nedbert.
Oh, that's true. Truly a king among men.
Wait, is it Nedbert? Is that it? Or is it something else? Am I thinking of?
Is it Newbert?
Newbert, that's it, yeah.
Okay.
Newbert.
I knew.
Oh, hell, is that Newbert over there?
Oh my god. No, it's cool. But no, I do like that Susie has kind of assumed the role of, like, the other player surrogate, like the voice of the audience, where she's, like, the one willing to just kind of say whatever she's thinking, you know?
Yeah.
And is kind of the locus upon which the action revolves, like the mystery and the player character kind of making decisions that affect the world. That's Chris. But the one who kind of makes people move forward with how, like, abrasive she is, and how much of it kind of like, yeah, I wanna be a fucking hero because the real world is boring. Like that gets to be Susie. Susie, because I know Toby Fox said they had the whole game already written, but also I feel like Toby Fox saw how much everybody liked Susie and was like, you know what? Let's give the dinosaur girl some more. Or maybe he just knew. Maybe he knew he had solid fucking gold.
I mean, I feel like, there's obviously things that changed based on audience perception and whatnot.
Sure, of course.
When you're writing an ongoing thing, it's like, oh, they like this, so I'll emphasize it a bit more.
Right.
But I do love that you're totally right, because, like, the very first thing that Susie does is, like, we gotta go back. We're gonna go back in there right now. We gotta go do this. That's all I've been thinking about ever since we got home.
It's so great. Just instantly, as soon as they're out in the hallway, she's like, "No, we're not gonna keep pretending everything's fine. We gotta go back now." And it's great.
It was.
Awesome.
I was very touched when she was like, "Okay, so if this ends up being like a hallucination, are we still gonna be?" And then Noelle shows up.
Yeah. Yeah. No, Susie still wants to be friends. Susie wants to be friends with this fucking weirdo.
Getting the high five animation with Lancer is great.
Yes. Lancer just immediately falling over. It's awesome. It's a great animation.
I love it. No, she is the best.
She's the best character. Like, everything she does, she's I don't know. She's got a head that is extremely thick. God love her, because she really cannot pick up on Noelle's everything that Noelle is putting down. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No.
It's really good. And Noelle isn't even trying to be, like, subtle about... I mean, she is trying, but she's failing to be subtle about it, you know?
She's also just very shy.
Yes, she's very shy and very obviously just in love. And is doing an extremely poor job of concealing those two things.
when Noelle gives her, like, a thing of chalk and, like, invites her to study the study session, and she's like, do you think Noelle knows what we've been up to? Chris is like, no, it's very clearly not what is going on here.
That is extremely not what's going on, my friend. I'm sorry. God help you. Oh man, it's awesome. And it's just constant too. Like, even they go on a romantic
Final Fantasy VII Golden Saucer.
Yeah, they go on the fucking Golden Saucer date. And like, even then, like, Cloud Strife is a very dumb man, right? As much as we love him, he's a very dumb man. And I feel like even Cloud, if you go with Tifa and Aerith, is like, oh, okay.
This is a date.
This is a date. We are now on a date. Susie? Susie the dinosaur? I forget what Susie's last name is right now. Susie.
I don't think she has one. I think it's just Susie.
No, I think she has. I swear to God, I think she has a last name. Well, she's Susie McDinosaur now. She? No idea. It's a date. Not a bit. Did not pick up on that. She's got a cute girl with pretty blonde hair and a white robe, literally looking like a fucking JRPG princess who's got like stars in her eyes and is like who
drops the most shoujo anime line I've ever heard a character say. When she's like, I would jump, like, when Susie asks, like, what would you do if you did something crazy right now? And she's like, I would jump out and grow majestic angel wings and look over the city.
Yeah.
And it's like...
It's like, that's beautiful. Susie, do you have any thoughts on this? And Susie's just, the camera cuts to Susie, and it's just, do, 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 do.
In the 90s anime adaptation of this scene, there would be the sparkles in the background. Sure. There would be the shoujo bubbles. And the lens blur.
Sure, absolutely.
As she says that, and looks dreamily out the window, and then just hard cut to all of those effects removed, and just Susie staring blankly.
Oh, God. God help her.
Just neat.
Or at the very least, please don't jump out of the Ferris wheel.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, honey. And it's great. It's great that she doesn't entirely cold shoulder Noelle, because like eventually she starts picking up on being like, oh, this is a flirtation that's going on between you and me. And it just instantly, like, blue screens this dinosaur's brain. Yeah. Just like, oh my God, please call administrator.
And like, it's the second she might, like, the squeaky wheel is that, like, the gears are actually starting to grind past all the rust, and a thought might occur. Like, the brain cell hit the corner of the screen and bounced out.
Yeah.
Right when that's about to happen is when Birdly shows up.
Ruins everything and immediately just wrecks the whole moment. I love that Susie gets to be, at least, like, she has her cool, like, exit, you know?
Yeah.
She leaves Noelle with Birdly, And she's like, all right, I gotta go. And she just jumps off the side of the building. And it's like, that's cool, Susie. You probably didn't even realize how cool that is. You have no idea.
She was literally, girls are watching.
Susie, what? Girls are watching. Be cool. Yeah, it's great. And then she lands on Ralsei.
Yeah, and that's also one of those just like perfectly timed jokes.
Yeah, it's incredible.
When he's like, no, we didn't miss you. That was sarcasm. We missed you very much. I love you.
Yeah, I know. That's great too, because it's like, oh, Ralsei, you almost did it. You almost made like a funny like fuck you joke. And he instantly has to walk it back and be like, no, never mind, I love you.
But then later on you get the bit where they're all being held by Queen in Queen's giant robot form, and when Birdly keeps trying to open a new fountain, Ross is like, stop!
What's wrong with you?
Like the first time he gets actually angry.
Are you all insane? Have any of you been listening to a single thing I've said for the past 2 chapters now? Oh god. I will say, I agree. We were talking about this in the Discord, and Shia, what's up? See, listen, if you join our Discord, you get to be like, hey.
You get a cameo appearance in the podcast sometimes.
I'm going to talk about the things you guys say in the Discord sometimes, so that's why you should join our Discord. Anyways, at one point, Shia is like, I don't know, I kind of think the rending sounds like a fake story. Sounds like not like a fake story. What's the word I'm looking for? Like a front for something else.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, it's almost too perfect. So, I don't trust like that. I don't trust the dog. I don't trust the goat. I don't even really trust the player character avatar. I only trust Susie at this point. Because, like, I don't know.
Susie's too dumb to scheme.
Exactly. Susie, there's nothing going on between those eyes. Like I said, we store music all the time. Or sometimes the annoying dog theme.
Yeah.
Just yeah. Like, I don't know, the rending, that's what it's called.
The roaring.
It's
yeah.
the roaring. I was thinking, is it like before I even was talking about this, you were saying something in the back of my head, there's a voice going, is it the rending? Is it the reckoning? No, those are both wrong. But I decided to go with it. The roaring. I don't know, it just sounds too perfect. Like, it's too clean, it's too neat. Like, we can't open up all these fountains of darkness, or these big titans will show up, and it's like, I don't know.
Hey, guess what? We're probably going to fight a titan by the end of this game.
Yeah, but I don't know. Are we, though? Are we really, though? I didn't think I was going to fight a big fucking Photoshop flower monster from hell. I feel like that's too clean. It's too simple. There's more going on here than what's being presented to us right now. There's too many weird things. We have these fountains of darkness, the fact that Chris is the night, we have the roaring. I don't know. It doesn't seem right to me. And there's a lot of weird shit going on with Spamton, who is also just like confusing, cause
Spamton is such an interesting case.
Mm-hmm.
I wish we had gotten to see more of him. Because that scene, where his first appearance scene, is one of the best in the game.
It's extremely funny, yes. Living in a goddamn garbage can.
And then he punches the dumpster.
Yeah.
The person who tracks down where that clip came from is gonna be a hero.
Didn't they already do? They already tracked down Big Shot.
No, they tracked down where the song, like where the concept came from. The concept came from a 1997 commercial.
Yeah.
For something.
Mike Ditka.
Yeah, Mike Ditka. But not the actual audio clip.
So they haven't tracked down the Big Shot audio clip.
No, now's your chance to be a big shot, because Flowey's that's a great idea comes from an old McDonald's commercial.
Yep.
Yeah. But they have not tracked down where Now's Your Chance to Be a Big Shot is from.
Dog, where are you getting these samples? I always want to know where the dog, like... Who thinks to put a audio clip from a 1997 McDonald's commercial in your spooky, like the spookiest part of your video game?
So right? I looked up that commercial on YouTube, and like one of the first comments was like, Toby Fox in 1997, I will remember this forever.
I guess that makes sense. We all, when we were children, like heard something or watched something, and it stayed in our mental Rolodex forever.
I'm waiting for like chapter 5 of Deltarune, where we're gonna get the clip where it's like, says tomorrow's gonna be hotter,
Stop.
like yesterday.
I know that's what you were about to reference. God damn it! I knew it. I was sitting here just waiting. I was like, he's gonna say the fucking air conditioning commercial, isn't he? Of course he is, because we all it's either gonna
be that
fucking synapses.
It's gonna be either that or a clip from the Shirley Temple DVD commercial,
or it's the tiger poster.
The tiger poster is also a strong one.
The tiger poster is a very strong contender for bizarre sound clip that turns up in a Toby Fox game in like 20 years.
And before we get to like real discussion of Spamton, just because we brought it up now.
Sure.
Okay. I've heard people complain, like, or not complain, but like comment like, boy, you guys really jump around all the time, don't you? And it's like, it's like, you guys don't have any structure whatsoever. It was kind of weird listening to your podcast, and I was like,
no fucking structure to this podcast. Fuck you.
We tried that early on, and it did not work.
It led to even longer episodes.
Yeah.
And we didn't even get all of it off of our chest.
That's why you need to join the Discord so we can follow up on our thoughts.
It's true.
But we probably mentioned it during the first Deltarune episode and the Undertale episode, but goddamn, Toby Fox is good at music.
Yo, all of the music in this game fucking whips ass. It owns. Like, every single track is so good.
Him and Neil Cicierega and their ability to mix things is incredible.
Yeah, no. There's so much, like... Oh, God. He goes... I mean, of course, Toby Fox loves himself a leitmotif, right? Like,
yeah.
Dog loves it. There's so much of that in Chapter 2, and it's all just so, like, insanely, like, subtle. It's just a couple of little piano notes, and you're like, oh, memories! Because that's what leitmotifs are supposed to do.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, my God, there's so much of it. Like,
if she's your girl, why is her leitmotif in my battle theme? That's what Susie says to Birdley in chapter 3.
Yeah, exactly. Oh God. But no, all of the songs own. I mean, obviously the standout is Big Shot. It's it's like a new Megalovania, which makes sense.
It's a thing where, like, the So You Wanna, like, the initial battle theme is like, oh yeah, there's Vile scene from Mega Man X in there, and I was like, what?
Huh?
And I had to listen to it again, I'm like, son of a bitch, there it is.
Oh man. No, but like the first like synth piano part of the Neo Spamton fight theme is just like, it whips ass. I know I just said that, but it's so fucking good. And then, like, the actual theme kicks in, and you lose your mind. You're like, oh, cool. Looking forward to having this stuck in my brain for the rest of my life.
Looking forward to seeing the words Big Shot and having, like, an emotional experience.
It's like my Manchurian Candidate trigger phrase now, except that when I see the word Big Shot, I just start, like screeching the song instead. Like, I'm really looking forward to that. Thanks. But like every other track is insanely good too. I think I like a couple. I like the soundtrack in 2 a lot, but I think there's so many, like, really, really strong ones in Chapter 1 that I liked more, like Field of Hopes and Dreams, which is probably one of my favorite, like, songs in any Undertale adjacent thing ever.
Yeah, for sure.
I just think it's so good. But I mean, like, that doesn't mean any of the music in this is bad. It's just, like, you know, sometimes you hit perfection and it's hard to catch up with that again.
Yeah.
But all the music is insanely good.
Yeah, I think Spamton's themes are better than The World Revolving, for sure.
Oh, yeah. I am not a fan of The World Revolving. I mean, like, it's good, but it's just, like, I'm not going to put it on a playlist the way I put other things on a playlist.
Right, yeah.
But, like, there's so many just little good tracks. The, you know, battle track continues to be fire. Everything that plays during the final boss fight with Queen is like, yes!
It's his ability to choose sound fonts that also really lend to it. Mm-hmm. Like, you can hear a lot of Mega Man X sound effects and sound fonts from there. There's a handful of Mario 64 in some of these tracks.
Okay.
But it's like, you know, it's those things where, like, you don't realize, like, how ingrained they are into your soul until you hear them in a completely different context. You're like, oh shit, that is from that game.
Right. It's, but I mean, of course, like, Toby Fox is he's like our age, you know? So the stuff that is ingrained into our brains from when we were young is the exact same stuff that's ingrained into his brain, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, yeah, he's gonna reference the same musical kind of notes and, like you said, sound fonts.
It's just not fair that he gets to be good at all of this.
It's insane that he's this good at everything except art. There's a whole lot of artists on Deltarune that are definitely not Toby Fox, which is amazing.
Which then we get to say, like, it's unfair that Temmie gets to be as good as this as she is and everything.
Temmie Chang is the other unsung here. Well, she's pretty sung. But Temmie Chang just owns her art is still so good. And there's a ton of other, like, art. I mean, God fucking hell. I follow so many people on Twitter who are like, yeah, I have a piece of art in Deltarune. And it's like, oh, yeah, okay, that was there's so many fucking artists now.
That was like one of the fun, like, it was like one of the funnest experiences. Be like, yeah, I drew this thing in Deltarune.
Uh-huh.
I contributed to this. I threw in these assets. I designed this character. You know, all that stuff. It's like, cool. It's great that he has a team now, because maybe we'll get it within 2 years.
I know it's probably going to be 2 years until 3 through 5, and that just makes me want to die.
But,
you know?
But at least we'll get 3 through 5 and not just one chapter every 2 years.
That's true. That is actually an extremely good point. Yes.
If we only have to wait 4 years for the end of this game, that's a lot better than 7. or 14, I mean. 4
is so long still. Oh, God. I'm just really hoping that 6 and 7... are like, psych, they're gonna be out in 6 months, you know?
Yeah.
Like, we actually had all of it ready. It's cool. Don't worry about it. Please.
But yeah, the point is to get back to Spamton being, like, such a dynamic and realized character.
Yeah, way more so than Jevil. Like, Jevil is just a bonus boss with, like, a little bit of lore kind of stapled onto him, you know? Whereas Spamton is like, you know, there's a lot going on there that seems to kind of be like directly referencing the primary thing that is also bothering Chris, you know?
Right.
Like these notions of being like stuck on puppet strings and wanting to kind of get loose and find a way to assert your own autonomy again. And so you understand, if you kind of put it through that lens, like why finishing the Spamton fight kind of like visibly unnerves Chris so much. is because, like, at the end of the fight, you know, you have Spamton in the basement, just like a busted old, you know, doll, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And it, you know, has been discarded, and it's like, oh, okay, well, the thing that was controlling him is now done with him, because it's not fun anymore, because, like, you know, the puppet toy is now fighting back, so we're just gonna abandon it in a basement somewhere. So it's like, oh, well, when you're done with me, what becomes of me? You know?
Yeah.
And
like,
oh, go ahead.
And, like, you know, being controlled against your will in general, and, like, the slow, like, the descent into madness that Spamton goes through, because he was originally just an Addison, and we've seen those, and they're kind of, you know, they're intense to deal with, but they're like
they're goofy,
relatively sane.
They're very benign. They're just like little funny, you know.
Yeah,
they still goofy little ads. They're totally benign.
They're weird triangle people.
Uh-huh.
And then you meet Spamton, who is very much not that.
Yeah. Something's clearly gone horribly wrong.
It is kind of interesting to think about the dynamic between, like, a spam email, the personification of a spam email versus the personification of, like, your general, like, ad email.
Yeah, that's true. From, like, your, like, a generalized, just kind of an internet ad.
Like,
versus
you know,
spam. Yeah.
Oh, the you know, your clothing store is having a 50% off sale.
Right.
Print out this code versus, like, I am a Nigerian prince.
Here to defraud you of all your money. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Hyperlink blocked.
Hyperlink blocked. But yeah, no, I think it's really, like, there's a little bit more texture going on here, and more depth, and
it was the line about heart-shaped object that I was like, this isn't good.
Ruh-roh. Yeah, anytime anybody in an Undertale game is like, hey, give me that heart thing you've got, it's like, oh man,
you're not supposed to know about that.
You aren't supposed to know about that. The last time somebody tried to take my heart-shaped object from me, again, they turned into a Photoshop nightmare. So, that's probably not good. And it wasn't good. Turns out it's very spooky. Toby Fox is very, very good at, stopping the comedy dead.
Yeah. And that's so one of the notes I wrote here, and we'll get in this after Spamton and we talk about Snowgrave. But because, you know, there's obviously not as much choice in this game as there is in Undertale in terms of, like, player making decisions.
Sure, like
agency.
Know.
But the ones that are there exist to make it more real for your desire to preserve the innocence of these characters, basically.
Yeah.
And when you get a real legitimate threat like Spamton Neo, and suddenly the fun of, you know, this weird little saw doll, like jigsaw doll, that came to life and is trying to sell you chromers.
Right.
Is suddenly no longer funny.
Yeah, no, the fun time is over. Now it's the, like, it reminds me so much of the descent into the True Labs in Undertale, where like, we have gone from, like, goofy fun times with Alphys and Metaton to, like, no, go down into this elevator, and literally as soon as you step out, it's like, bam, atmosphere is completely changed. Like, we have shifted into, like, feeling like the air is heavier and there's, like, something watching you, you know?
Yeah.
And it's way more just, like, ominous. You get, like, the detail of the empty treasure chests, the treasure chest that only has a single chromer in it. And it's like, it's so... It just feels like you're being watched the whole time. Which is interesting, because you're the one doing the watching. Because again, the player is separate from your avatar. You yourself are a character in Undertale games. Like, even in, like, a detached way. But it still feels like something is, like, watching Chris and watching you through the screen. And it's just very ominous. It's always very good at swinging hard into, like, totally different tonal territory after, however many hours of goofy jokes.
Yeah, and speaking of that, it's the shift from when you first meet Spamton and he says heart-shaped object to when you fight him as Spamton Mio and he refers to it as soul instead.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know. I think that's the first time, because you just went through both of them.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's the first time somebody calls, like, the little red heart, like, is the soul.
It's the first time I think a character refers to it as soul. Because the narration refers to it as soul when you seal the fountains.
Right.
It says, like, your soul began to glow or something like that.
Sure.
But I think Spamton is the first time he refers to it as a soul.
Right.
Because I think he's the first character to actually, like, refer to it so far. Because in Undertale, you don't learn about, like, the idea of that little heart is not just, like, a symbol. It is the sign that something is controlling you.
Right.
You don't learn about that until way late in the game.
Yeah, no, you don't learn about souls, and, like, I mean, you learn about souls, but you don't, like, realize that that's what Little Heart is until you meet Asgore. And, yeah, so it's very, it's very interesting that Spamton is, like, privy to that, and is like, I can't get free. See, now I'm just thinking, like, well, you can't get free without a soul, but the soul is the representation of the player characters, like of the you, like you and me.
Yeah.
Like the soul is the medium through which we take control of Chris. So you're like trading being controlled by one thing for another thing, and that's the only way you can get free?
I mean, whatever is controlling the puppet strings has to just be that much worse, right?
Right. Which is really interesting.
Which, yeah, very curious that we actually don't get much information about what's controlling him.
Right.
Because Sham sure as hell doesn't say anything.
And Swatch makes mention of, like, something he helped make that was made from, like, it was made from, like, something of a lightener, and that became, like, what they call the broken robot in the basement.
Yeah.
Or he took control of it.
Yeah, I was trying to read up on it because I was still very unclear as to what actually happened to Spamton.
Right.
But I think the implication is that the lightener that the robot is meant for or based on is supposed to be Metaton.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Kind of makes sense because Spamton and Metaton have similar naming conventions.
Oh, yeah.
And Spamton does kind of fill the like
Position?
Design role of Metaton.
Sure, yeah. Like as a little dude who gets like a big robot body, you know?
Yeah, and who has like a speaking convention that is different from the other characters. So there's the implication of that, and it seems to be implied that it's designed to extract souls too, for a different purpose. But we're only on chapter 2 of 7, so it's really hard to say anything for
I know,
sure.
it's extremely hard to, again, this is the same problem we hit last time, where it's extremely hard to speculate on what's going on and what's happening when you only have such a teeny tiny fraction of the overall story. But it sure is fun.
Yeah. No, it's great. I love it. Especially because you fight Spamton Neo on the Snowgrave route.
Yay! Excellent transition. Well done, my friend. Because, of course, we got to wrap this up by talking about the fact that this time we actually do have a genocide route, basically. Yeah. Significantly, at least in my opinion, more fucked up than the genocide route.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 100%.
Shot. Yeah. Way more bleak.
Yeah, way more depressing and uncomfortable and awkward. Neither of us played it. We just watched a video of it.
Right.
Because we didn't have, like, a save to do it on.
Right, exactly. Like, I didn't have an opportunity to go back and reach that spot again, because I didn't even know it existed.
Yeah. But, no, it's significantly darker than the Undertale genocide route. Mm-hmm. And it is, like I said, like, your urge to protect the innocence of these characters is emphasized by having this choice exist.
Yeah, this is something that, again, was discussed in the Discord, and I think it's a huge part of what makes Undertale and Deltarune work, and I think it's part of what makes Chapter 2, like, more punchy. Is that without like a genocide route, or without a Snowgrave or / weird route is what it also gets called, without like a genocide route or a weird route, then doing the right thing it's just a given, right? Like,
right, yeah.
It's just that's the only road you can take, you know? Mm-hmm. You don't have any other option. Like, you have to just do the right thing. But in giving you the option to do your genuine worst, to do something like actually evil, not just like Mass Effect or Fallout evil, where you're just kind of an asshole, you know?
Yeah.
In giving you the ability to do, like, something legitimately evil, and you not taking that option, it elevates the content that would otherwise be kind of saccharine and cloying, you know? Like,
yeah, like, just more, like, benign, feel-good.
Yeah, it's just a feel-good story. But, like, the game is like putting the gun in your hand and saying, like, hey, you have the option to not hurt anybody. And making the willful choice to not do that is what kind of elevates the feelings you get by doing the right thing instead. Like, you have that choice to do right.
Yeah, it's interesting that you compare them to Fallout and Mass Effect, because, you know, while you were talking about, like, you know, giving yourself that choice, I was thinking, like, well, what is the difference between this and just, like, you know, an Infamous, or, you know, or whatever, or a Fallout or a Mass Effect? Like, what is the key difference? And for one thing, the difference is that you get to a completely different ending by it all said and done. Like, it veers you onto a completely different path.
Right, yeah, absolutely. Completely different. You can't even, after a certain point, you can't even get back into, like, the proper storyline, you know?
Right. So there is an actual consequence for it.
Right.
And yeah, so it's not just like, oh, you did bad things, but by the end of the day, you still got to the same boss fight.
Right.
And it's just, it also, you know, this is just a credit to the writing, but it just feels so much more visceral.
Yeah.
Because, you know, the only way, okay, so The thing about genocide is that it's easy to at least start a genocide route and realize, oh, you know what, I should probably not do this.
Right.
Because you're introduced to like Papyrus, and it's like, well, you can kill Papyrus, but why would you want to? Mm-hmm. Or it's like, it's very easy to accidentally kill Toriel.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I did it the first time. The first time I ever played Undertale, I accidentally killed Toriel.
Yeah, and then, you're like, okay, well, I can probably do that over. Mm-hmm. To get started on the weird route takes deliberate action.
Yeah.
And to the point where, like, there's a little chime that plays when you're making progress on it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah. It is a... You can find... It's kind of a... You can find the weird route by freezing an enemy. Like, you freeze one enemy, and then you leave battle, and it's like, oh, they're frozen in the map. That's interesting. And it's kind of unsettling because they are, like, totally frozen and they can't ever be interacted with again. And, like, at that point, like, oh, that's interesting. And then you are literally, like you said, making the deliberate choice to hunt down everybody in, like, the little cyber downtown to freeze all of them.
You have to repeatedly demand Noelle to do an action.
Right.
Like several times too. Mm-hmm. Like several instances, like you have to demand that she kill the shopkeeper, that she freeze all the mice.
Yep.
And you get reactions from her that feel so much more real than a party member going, I don't like that you did that, and a little stat pops up that says character didn't like that.
Yeah.
You are basically just gaslighting and abusing your childhood friend.
Yeah, absolutely. You are emotionally manipulating your childhood friend. Well, I guess I should say the player is gaslighting and abusing Chris's childhood friend.
Yes.
That's the key. Because Noelle makes a very important thing to say that, like, the voice that says proceed, or the voice that says get it, to kill the shopkeeper, that's not Chris's voice. Like, it's a different voice. It's you, the player. If
Chris gets knocked out in battle, I've learned this, gets knocked out during the battle with Birdley, and you still try to cast Snowgrave.
Yeah.
She'll say she still hears the voice, even though Chris is unconscious.
That's so...
So...
Yeah.
It's super fucked up.
Yeah, it's super bleak.
Really, really uncomfortable.
Yeah,
to watch this happen.
It is extremely... That's the big thing, is the discomfort. Like, more so... Like, genocide is spooky, right? Like, the genocide route is creepy.
It's dark. We talked about how, like, well, the background music vanishes. Mm-hmm. There's no one to talk to in the towns anymore.
Right.
The characters that do exist only exist now to confront you and, like, try to take you down.
Right.
But you don't get the realness, the complicated realness of Noelle trying to justify herself.
Yeah, it's like uncomfortable. It isn't just creepy. And I mean, like, that's not to downplay genocide, because genocide is doing something differently thematically. Because genocide is more about, like, turning Undertale into a miserable slog because you're doing something miserable.
Yeah.
But, like, Weird Route is more about, like, making you see, like, straight up, this whole, it's playing even more with this idea of, like, how much empathy do you feel for video game characters? Because, again, that's another thing that Undertale was very big about. It's why people don't replay Undertale after you get a true passive ending. People will just never replay Undertale again because it's like, well, that just feels wrong, you know? Like, that's a thing. I'm, like, going back on a promise I made. So Weird Route is playing, like, even more with these ideas of, like, your party members feeling viscerally uncomfortable with, like, the actions you're making them take, and, like you said, making you be extremely deliberate in doing this bad thing to Noelle, because it gives you so many options to walk it back. Like,
just like in Undertale, you literally have up until casting the Snowgrave spell.
Yeah, you can literally walk it back at the very last second. Like, like, right until the end, you don't have to do it. Which is, like, really interesting. It's giving you so many outs to do the right thing, and when you don't take it, that in and of itself is, like, an extremely conscious player decision, right? That can, like, really make a huge difference in, like, what's going to happen going forward.
It's the deliberation of it versus genocide, and also the complexity of it, I think, adds to it, in that with genocide, you are just a killing machine. You are fighting everything and killing it, and going through this area to kill everyone in it. But with this, because there is so much, like, manipulation and insistence and, like, pushing, that I don't know how to describe it. It feels like pulling the wings off a butterfly and pulling the legs off a spider.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And,
like,
like,
you're just, like, toying with something smaller and weaker than you.
Yeah, like, and, like, between, like, taking off limbs and then observing its actions.
Yeah. As
you basically torment this creature that cannot stop you in any way.
Right, yeah.
It's terrifying. It's nightmarish.
Yeah, it's very scary. It's very uncomfortable. It's just, you know, like, it's again that, like, it's a very gross feeling. Like, you just feel very gross the whole time.
Because what I did was I beat it the first time, and then I watched the playthrough of it, and then when I beat it the second time to get set up to fight Spamton Neo, I was like, when I was going through all, like, the really cute moments with Susie and Noelle, and, like, walking around town with Noelle, and, like, you know, teaching her how to spare enemies and whatnot, I was, like, a little unsettled. Yeah. Knowing that this alternate path existed.
Yeah, that, like,
and, like,
it was just right there this whole time.
Yeah. Like, having two memories of, like, the same event, like, going two different ways, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I do think it's really interesting that you fight Spamton Neo on that route.
Yeah, at the very end. You get the super hard version of that fight.
Because of what we mentioned, where it's like, whatever is controlling him must be worse than the idea of the player controlling him.
Right.
And does that still hold true in the Snowgrave route?
Right, and he's still, like, he is actively trying to... It's a funny callback, maybe not callback, but thematic carrying forward, where, in Genocide and now in Weird Route, like, the best version of certain characters are in the worst route, right?
Yeah.
That's a thing that gets brought up a lot, is that, like the best version, like, the most heroic version of Undyne, the least lazy version of Sans, you can only get in like, the worst route, right?
Right, the hero approaches.
Yeah, absolutely. And you get that again with Weird Route, because, like, that's when Birdley is a shithead. He's an annoying little bird, but, like, as soon as the second he realizes that something fucked up is going on, and, like, his friend is being hurt, is just like, oh no, we have to fight now. It's not even, like, fun and jokes time anymore. He just pulls the halberd out and is like, okay, let's go, you know? Like, it's, and like, you know, and like even Spamton is like trying to stop you from what you're doing at the end of the game. It's crazy. It's awesome.
Yeah, and it's stopping you.
Yeah.
Because
because Spamton knows.
You get a much more visceral reaction from Chris when you reunite with Ralsei and Susie.
Right.
And it becomes very clear that this was not Chris's doing. That they were being pushed by you to do actions that they don't want to take. Like, and this is the thing I find very interesting, because the idea of, like, Chris is uncomfortable with the player. With the Snowgrave route, and, like, seeing how, like, genuinely distressed they were over that, versus them just kind of being mostly nonplussed and kind of annoyed at that, really sets the tone of, like, what their relationship with the player is.
Right.
Where it's like, it's one thing if it's like, no, dance with these robots, or like hug this little goat guy.
Right.
And they're like, okay, fine, whatever. Versus, you know, convince your childhood friend to murder these creatures and kill your classmate.
Mm-hmm. Did I lose you?
No, I'm right here. I'm just...
Oh, good.
Yeah,
okay.
It's just... It's, you know, that moment was awkward and uncomfortable, like the Snowgrave route is.
Yeah, no, it's very... yeah. And I'm very interested because, like... So, Snowgrave route ends, and you find yourself back in school. And, like, is Birdley, like dead?
If you investigate that closet, it says that it could fit a pretty large-sized person.
Yeah, so it's like... And I wonder... So, okay, another thing is that we mentioned early on in the pod about how there's weapon synthesis, or there's item synthesis, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can't get... I think it's called the Twisted Blade. You can't get the Twisted Blade without the Snowgrave ring, the ring that lets Noelle cast Snowgrave. You can't get that. You have to do Snowgrave and then walk it back at the literal last second. Like,
right.
You have to do it all the way up until fighting Birdley, basically, and then you stop it, like, at that exact moment. So, like, that's also really interesting.
And you know what? You know what's crazy is there are you can walk it back, but that's in quotes.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are still consequences for that.
Really?
Yeah. If you don't kill Birdley, you can continue on, and for the most part, the game acts like nothing changed, right? Like,
sure.
Everything is still exactly how it should be. When you get back to Castletown with Queen, because you killed all of her subjects,
oh yeah,
there's no one in the town for her.
Oh yeah. Oh no. Okay. So yeah, there's still consequences.
And she'll comment about how, like, oh well, there's no one came with me except for Trashy. Trashy is the only character that shows up too.
Trashy's still there. Thanks, Trashy. Yeah, no, that's very, like, I'm just wondering how, because, like, obviously, if Birdley isn't dead, then he's, like, comatose? There's kind of 3 endgame states with Birdley. You can either, you can do the non-violent way of fighting Queen, right?
Right.
And you just cut him free from the wire, and he's fine.
Mm-hmm.
If you do the violent way of fighting Queen and you remove him violently from the wire, then when you guys wake up in the library, his arm is numb and he can't, like, move it at all. Yeah. Oh my god, you didn't know that? Okay. Yeah.
I played pacifist the whole time.
Sure,
so.
Of course. He gets like an arm injury. Like, if you cut him, like if you violently remove him from the machine, and when he wakes up, he says like, "Oh, my arm is numb," and he just assumes it fell asleep. But because he got an arm injury in the dark world, it's like, is it really though?
Yeah.
And then, of course, the third is that Birdley is either comatose and or dead after the end, if you take the Snowgrave route, right?
Right.
And so I'm just wondering, like, I am very curious about how mutable, I suppose, is the word to use. Like, how mutable Deltarune is going forward. Like, how much these, like, if you take Snowgrave. Because, I mean, like, you do Snowgrave and it kind of all ends basically the same.
Yeah.
Except for, like, probably the scariest scene in, like, an entire game that has, like, a lot of spooky shit, which is, Chris, why are you wearing my watch?
Yes, that's terrifying, and I hate that.
I hate that part so much, because it is so creepy. Like, I don't like it at all. It's very, very creepy. I'm not a fan. And so, like, I'm just really curious to see how these will affect things going forward.
My question, I guess, is then thinking about it, because I don't quite remember, because we both watched a video of it. How often do you get to save the game during Snowgrave? Like, do you get to save anytime after killing Birdley?
Oh. I think so. Yeah, you get one time to save after killing Birdley because you end up back at the first floor landing in the mansion where Swatch's shop is. And Rules is in front of the door, Right. There's a save point in there.
Oh, yeah. Then yeah. Because that's past the point of no return.
Uh-huh. So you can't walk it back unless you just want to replay the whole game. Which, I mean, you could. So yeah, I'm very curious to see how these different routes will kind of play out going forward, if there's even an option.
Yeah, because doing genocide route, that's at the end of the game, though. That does lock you out from doing a true pacifist route.
Yeah.
But you can go in and delete the files from your computer itself and get a fresh install to get around that.
You can get a fresh install, but like that's like the only way to remove the genocide from your save.
But this is the second chapter of a 7-chapter story.
Uh-huh.
And the options are, because it would be ridiculous to ask Toby Fox to create 2 versions of 5 more chapters.
I don't know, though. Is it really that ridiculous? I mean, like, considering Fate Stay Night is a 120-hour-long visual novel.
Yeah, but it's a visual novel. It's not a full JRPG with, like...
But, like, the thing about... I don't know, though, but, like...
Also, Fate Stay Night was written by a company.
No, Fate Stay Night was only written by one guy.
Oh, was it? Oh, okay.
Kanoko Nasu only wrote Fate Stay Night. Yeah. But, yeah, no, I mean, like, and the thing is that, yeah, it's a JRPG instead of a visual novel, but, one, in the grand scheme of things, it's still going to be a pretty short JRPG. Like you said, 15 to 20 hours tops. And, like...
I guess...
You can still use all the same locations. It's just a matter of what characters you're interacting with and the context of that interaction, Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
You can still do the main story, but, like, like you said, the main story, but there's still, like, stuff going on with Noelle that will be completely different.
But my question then is, will chapters 3 through 7 have similar alternate routes that can branch further and further and further?
I am going to assume the way I think it'll go, the way I'm assuming it's going to go, is that you can't do the genocide route of, say, chapter 3 if you didn't do Snowgrave.
Okay, yeah, that would make sense. That would be a little bit easier to...
It'd be cleaner, yeah.
Yeah, it'd be a little bit easier to program and, like, work with.
But I mean, like, even, a game with 3 routes, like a full video game with 3 routes, that's just Undertale.
Well, no, 3 is fine. My concern was, like...
Oh, no. I don't think it's going to have, like, a shit zillion branching paths. Yeah,
if chapter 3 has a pacifist route and a genocide route, for your already existing pacifist or genocide route, that's 4 paths.
Yeah, no, I think... I feel like... I don't know. I feel like you'll be able to do genocide... I mean, it's just like Undertale, right? You'll be able to do genocide to a certain point, and then at any point, when the game gives you an option to get off this wild ride, you can get off the wild ride. You know what I mean? And, like, there'll still be dead characters and stuff in the aftermath, just like, if you start doing Undertale as a genocide route, and then after a certain point you decide to stop killing people, like you kill Papyrus and you feel really bad about it, right? So then you just don't kill anyone after that. Well, that's just, now you're just on one of the many, many neutral routes, right?
Yeah, and they all have different versions of the ending that can go into play. Yeah, I guess that would make sense. I guess it's just because Deltarune's going to be so much bigger than Undertale, it's a little harder for me to grasp right now.
Sure, but I mean, like, if you think about it, if you play through all of 1, and then you play chapter 2, and you do Snowgrave, you get into 3, like, I'm sure the option to do genocide again is still going to be there, and, like, there'll be some, changes to, like, Birdley won't be around in the town or something like that. He'll be in the hospital or he'll be dead, It's like, I still think it's pretty manageable. I think it's still totally doable considering, considering Undertale already did it, basically. So, like,
I guess the idea is that, like, Noelle and Birdley probably won't be as significant characters as they were in this chapter.
I mean,
will be going forward.
Noelle could still be.
Yeah, Noelle can, but, like, I like the way around it would be Birdley is just not as relevant.
Yeah,
like he'd still be around occasionally, but, like, he's just not gonna be as present because, like, he wasn't really an important character all that much in this one anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So,
the implication being that chapter 3 will have Toriel as, like, your guest party member.
Yes, Mom.
But this is...
It's a lot.
This is a masterpiece.
It's so good.
And there's so much I still want to talk about. I took a bunch of notes that we didn't even really cover.
Oh no! I should have known this would happen.
The two I want to bring, like, there's 3.
Yeah.
I have 4. 2 of them are relatively simple to bring up.
Sure, let's do it. Why not? We've recorded longer episodes.
Yeah. I want to make huge shout outs to Queen calling Chris crisscross applesauce.
Extremely good, yes.
And calling Noelle honey darling sweetie gravy.
Gravy baby, yeah.
It's the best.
So good. It's so good.
And
Queen is the best character.
Continuing to forget that Ralsei is there.
Yeah, just constantly leaving Ralsei behind, and, like, I do wish you could have kept Ralsei in his little butler costume. How dare you? It was cute.
Yeah, if we can't put the hat back on, at least let him keep the butler costume.
Yes, absolutely. Love the swatchlings fawning over how cute Ralsei looks in his butler costume.
Yeah.
It's really good.
My third point is I hope my second point is I hope the machine to thrash your ass just shows up in every chapter.
Yes, please. Just a running thing that just keeps showing up. Alongside rules cards, God damn it, which did come back, thank God.
Yes. Yes. I love it.
It's one of those jokes that never gets old. Please come back every single time.
Of course that meant my Punch Out Round 2, the ultimate group project for me, did have a duck head.
Yes! That's awesome.
Like, in my second playthrough of Deltarune, like my going forward playthrough of Deltarune, like I mixed up the machine. I didn't make it all duck.
Sure.
But I kept the duck head because, of course, you keep the duck head.
Of course you keep the duck head. Absolutely.
Punch
Out, by the way, love that Punch Out became way more relevant in this game than I ever expected.
Yep, you just straight up play NES Punch Out to beat the final boss.
Yeah, you do like a little mini version of it, and then the final boss is just Punch Out. It is just Punch Out.
Dodge left, dodge right, duck, counter punch.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's great. But then the one thing I wanted to ask is, what happened to December?
Oh, I know. What did happen to December?
Whatever happened had to have happened when she was really, really little.
Yeah.
Because it was during the spelling bee that Noelle already started freezing up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that had to have been like elementary school for them.
Well, they show that. That is probably one of my favorite, top 5 scenes in this whole game is walking with Noelle and spelling December. And at certain points when you go behind the screen, I guess, it shows Chris and Noelle when they're little kids. Their silhouettes change to little babies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we don't know what happened to December. We know she's gone, I assume, because she's not visiting Dad in the hospital, you know?
No.
And we don't see Mom. I think their mom is implied to be the mayor.
Yeah, her mom is the mayor, which is why she's not at the hospital, because she has mayorly things to do.
She's busy, yeah.
But it's kind of implied that Azriel and December were dating or were friends or something.
At the very least, they were close. Like they were all like a little childhood friend group of Chris and Noelle and Azriel and December. Like, yeah. I'm very. I don't know what happened. They don't really imply what happened to her.
I don't think she's dead because we can go to the town graveyard and she's not there.
Right. I guess that's true.
So I don't know if she left, if she ran away, like...
I don't know. I mean, the thing is that... by the way, I like it's a detail that since monsters do still turn to dust in Deltarune when you kill them, there aren't actually bodies buried at the graveyard.
Yeah.
There's like symbols of them buried there instead. That's neat. I like that a lot. But like, I don't know. Like, that is such a big thing, and I wonder like if that is like a motivating factor for why Chris is so like introverted now, because they were childhood friends with Noelle and they're not really anymore. Like they don't hang out anymore.
There's a lot about, like, what happened with the 4 of them that when you start adding these pieces up, like, it doesn't spell a pretty picture.
Right. No, it seems like, very bleak.
One of the few times, because my second playthrough, like, one of the few times that you get a legitimate, like, emote from Chris is when you drink the hot chocolate in the diner at the end of chapter 1. And they viscerally recall the warm feeling of comfort from drinking hot chocolate with Azriel. It's like one of the few times where it's like it's unambiguously Chris is feeling something again.
Right, yeah.
And like, you know, December being gone, like just gone.
Yeah.
And then I feel like when it was the second playthrough of chapter 2 when I was rewatching the most awkward scene ever with Asgore and Toriel.
Yeah.
where it was like, you know, when Asriel's in town, and then she's like, yeah, we have to discuss how we're going to do that.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I can get like when you're, you know, when parents are divorced and like, you know, a kid comes back from college or whatever, like you might have to organize how they're going to hang out,
yes,
you know, or you know, meet up and everything. But it's like, it's the way that Toriel like said, like, we need to discuss this.
Yeah, no, it's not just like, you know, I'll call you about when they can hang out. It's not, it's the very specific phrasing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like something happened between the three of them that may or may not have caused the divorce.
Yeah, that's the kind of the curious, and I mean, like, so again, the purpose of using Undertale characters in Deltarune, despite the fact that ostensibly Deltarune could stand on its own, but I think it would be weaker for it if it didn't have the Undertale connection.
Yeah.
But, like, part of the reason you're using the Undertale characters is to, like you said, like we've been saying, recontextualize your perceptions of them. And it's really important to know that the reason Toriel and Asgore split up in Undertale is because a bunch of kids died.
Yep.
You know? And, I mean, obviously in this, it's not that, like, Asgore killed anyone, but, you know, it's not a stretch to say, well, something bad happened to December, and it wrecked, like, these two whole families' lives, which is not a stretch by any means of the imagination. You know, like,
it's
like, Noelle's dad is still very mysteriously ill for some reason. Like, they never say what it is, but yeah.
And yeah, and it's also the fact that, like, Noelle's dad and Asgore, like, were buddies in college, like, really, really close friends.
Yeah.
And, like, he seems like it seems like things have gotten complicated between him and Asgore. Mm-hmm. Like,
yeah.
God, I don't know. It is.
Yeah, it's like, clearly something, like, happened. Something bad happened. We don't know what bad thing happened to December, but, like, that is we can assume the inciting incident for why things are the way they are. Like, it's really kind of interesting and telling that it seems like since Asriel went to college, he hasn't talked to Chris.
Yeah. And
you know?
that to the point where, like, when you're in Chris's, like, cell, and you investigate the things around, like, Chris, like, you know, the things that, like, you know, because Queen is, like, based on your search history, I've made these objects for you.
Sure, yeah.
One of them is college summer vacation time.
Yeah, like, when is college summer vacation? Yeah, absolutely. And
it's like, because Asriel's number isn't saved in Chris's phone. And, like, from the townsfolk, it's like Asriel hasn't talked to anyone yet.
Yeah, like he just went to college and then just doesn't talk to anybody from the town anymore, which is like,
but no one seems to, like, resent him for it.
Well, no.
But it's like, you know, but I mean, like, So whatever it is that, like, makes him not want to talk to anyone wasn't, like, a bad thing he did.
Right,
you know?
no. It could be that a bad thing happened to him.
Yeah.
And, like, everybody is very understanding. Like, hey, a bad thing happened to the girl you liked, or at the very least your childhood friend, and you don't want to be in town anymore. Like, that's understandable, you know? So, I don't know. I'm very, very interested.
These complicated familial relationships.
Yeah.
That are going on in this game where a little bicycle card boy makes squishing sounds.
He makes weird farty noises, yeah. But like, the other thing is, like, because again, I don't trust no one, and that includes Chris. Chris is very explicitly, and again, this also ties to why I think, like, you need the Undertale connection here. Chris is explicitly supposed to look like an older version of Kara. Kara?
It's Kara because
character. Okay. They're explicitly supposed to look like a teenage version of Kara, right?
Yeah, like their color palette is basically the same.
Yeah, exactly. Which is interesting, because again, Kara was the little fucked up one. Yeah. You know? Like, they were the little fucked up kid who made, you know, who did creepy face smiles and was like, yeah, let's go up to the surface and cause trouble, Asriel, and that's what got Asriel killed all those, you know, years ago. And it's like, you know, it kind of lends to this whole idea that, like, something bad happened and maybe it was Chris's fault?
Yeah,
like, Noelle doesn't seem to resent Chris, but also they haven't been speaking.
Yeah, no.
So,
but, you know, Chris hasn't been speaking to anyone.
Right. So, I mean, it could have been, like, indirectly their fault. We just don't know. I mean, again, this is only chapter 2 out of 7, for God's sake.
Yeah, and we don't have a time frame. We know whatever happened to December happened when they were in elementary school, like around that time.
Right, because by then, like you said, Noelle was already messing up at the spelling bee.
Yeah. So we know that it would have happened around that point. Mm-hmm. But we don't, like, and we know that, like, you know, Noelle and Chris were friends, but, like, were they friends or were they the little siblings of a pair of friends?
Right, yeah, just kind of forced to hang out together because, you know, like, your big brother and sister were always hanging out together.
Are the two of you friends or were your dad's roommates in college?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know, they seemed close. I mean, it's like they hung out all the time, but again, that could mean nothing or everything.
Yeah, but you know, Noelle is very polite and can't say no to anyone.
Sure.
And Chris doesn't say a goddamn word.
True. Very true.
So it could be any situation.
Who knows? Who knows? That is, like, easily one of the things. I just want to know what's going on with Asriel. Like, that is the big thing. Like, what? Because Ralsei is there, and he looks like Chris, and I don't think anybody ever really comments on it. Like...
Noelle notices that Ralsei looks like Asriel.
Does she?
She doesn't say it explicitly, but when you, because you can spy on Asriel and Susie while they're hanging out at the fairgrounds.
Yeah.
And she will say, like, who is she with? It kind of looks like, and then she gets interrupted because, like, she's like, oh no, they can see us, we gotta run.
Oh, okay.
But the thing that I don't understand is that all of the Undertale characters are just transplanted into Deltarune, right?
Yeah.
Like it's Toriel, it's Asgore, it's Undyne, it's they're all there and they all are roughly the same age, and only thing really different is they're wearing different outfits, right?
Sure, yeah.
And Asriel's in college.
Yeah,
and Ralse is very clearly a child.
Yeah, he looks like the Asriel we know from Undertale, like the little kid Asriel.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hug the Goat Asriel.
Right.
Yeah.
And so and the other characters, some of the characters we see, like Monster Kid is aged up, and if you're going by Chris as Kara, then they're aged up as well.
Right.
So I don't know if Ralse can be considered like a direct transplant of Asriel, considering he's younger.
Right. So like, but then who is Ralse?
Yeah.
Like, that's the other thing, right? So they say Darkeners, right? They have to stay in like their little hub world, or they turn to stone, like what happens to Rules and Lancer. That doesn't happen to Ralse.
Which, yeah, and he is a Darkener, right?
Yeah, isn't he? I mean, he lives in the world of darkness. He doesn't live in the world of light.
Yeah, right? But, is he though?
I mean, he might not be.
Maybe he might be a Lightner that just ended up in the Dark World.
Okay, so then what? They have like a secret second brother?
I don't know.
Is that it?
Maybe he is Asriel. Maybe that's where Asriel went to college. That's why he hasn't been talking to anyone. It's because he fell into the Dark World and got amnesia and doesn't remember who Chris is.
The Deltarune fucking wiki, which, yeah, of course, the reliableness of a wiki, they call him a Darkener, okay? So, that's a fucking...
But that might just be because they have nothing else that says he might be a Lightner.
Yeah, no shit. But I mean, like... it's still suspicious. I don't trust the goat, Ben. Do not trust the goat. I'm putting that on a shirt. Do not trust the goat. It's gonna be our first piece of Gorge merch.
It's like that fucking post with like the two versions of Van Hohenheim from Full Metal Alchemist. Like, this is the good one. Don't trust this one. But it's Asriel and Ralse.
Yeah. I ain't trusting that goat yet. No, sir. He's suspicious. He's too nice, and I don't like it. So take that. That's Sarah's words of wisdom. Don't trust the goat.
I really, really hope that chapters 3 through 5 don't take 2 years, because
please, I'm dying.
Chapter 1 was short enough and like didn't have enough to drive me insane for 2 years.
Sure, absolutely.
But now I'm like, but wait, what's going on though?
Oh, we are fully back at it again at the Krispy Kreme. Like, yeah, like pointing at the pin board yet again. I have too many pin boards now. Okay. We have a Kingdom Hearts pin board.
We have
a Final Fantasy
I gotta shift my Kingdom Hearts one. I gotta shift that one over now, and like some of these pins might actually connect. I don't know.
There's a high probability you're gonna have to connect some string between the Final Fantasy VII and the Kingdom Hearts pin board at the very fucking least.
Yeah.
Who knows? Who fucking knows? Toby Fox might pull something out. I mean, this game is really popular in Japan.
I gotta now I also gotta shove room to make for the Stranger Paradise. Like, it's gotta get its own little tiny board in the corner.
Like a little board that has Limp Bizkit written on it in like giant red letters.
Now I gotta divide this whole thing up and draw a big line to be like, okay, but this is Deltarune's territory.
This is where Deltarune lives. It gets its own board. You guys stay over there. It's on the other side of the office. Oh, God. Yeah, no. Gonna drive me completely insane for the next 2 years. I hope you're all looking forward to it. I I will be compelled, despite the guilt that comes with it, I will end up replaying Undertale at some point, because of course. And I never did finish that the PlayStation version of Undertale. Sarah, is that because you started a genocide route and then you hit the Undyne wall? Maybe. It's really hard.
So you're just going to have, like, your PS4 version, like, as the cursed version?
I was going to have the especially because now that my PS4 is in a closet, because I own, like, a PS5, I was like, oh, I can just keep the evil in my closet. But
you can seal it away.
I can seal it away like a JRPG villain. Unfortunately, I could not actually beat Undyne, so I was like, well, goddammit, I guess she did her job, because I'm not going to be able to finish this fucking genocide route. Like,
yeah, that's the point.
That's the whole point.
The point is for you to hit a wall and be like, no, I'm done.
I'm done. This is too hard. I wanted to get to Sans, but I can't get past Undyne, so good job. You did it. You saved the world, just like your theme says. Thanks, Undyne. You kept me from cursing my PS4, so I suppose I owe you that.
Okay, I think I'm out of thoughts for now.
Do you have everything off your notes? Anything else? If you be fucking notes.
Oh, you know what? I do have one more. It's a joke I wanted to make.
Sure, go for it.
It's... Boy, I wish I could kill Birdly. Monkey's paw, finger curls inward.
Oh no! You see that one post that was like under like way back when Toby Fox was first talking about Deltarune Chapter 1. They were like, there's somebody who made a comment on it like, yeah, can you give us the option to kill Birdly? And then like they responded to themselves 2 years later with just, I take it back! Yeah.
Yep, that's how it went for me. I was like, God, I wish Birdly would just fucking die. Oh no, never mind.
I'm sorry, Birdly. You're just annoying. You're not that bad. But I also don't want to hang out with you ever again.
Yeah.
But I don't want you dead. I just want you to go over there, away from me.
It'll be like chapter 3 is like, you know, inviting Noelle to the party, and she's like, and Birdly can come too, and Susie and Chris are like,
Excalibur facing.
Yeah.
Oh god. Okay. Anything else?
No, that's it. I'm tapped out for now. But if you want to hear us talk more about it, join our Discord, because we'll have stuff we'll think of in like a week.
We literally have an ongoing Deltarune thread, so please join the Discord. Come talk to us there about it. We will appreciate it. We love all of you.
And thank you to Visitor for use of background music. You can follow me on Twitter at The Gorge Podcast. You can follow Sara at radioinactivity. You can email us at thegorgepodcast@gmail.com. And again, that's patreon.com/thegorge. And if you want to listen to Sara play other games and maybe do a genocide or a peaceful route, I don't know. Some of those games get pretty dark.
Yeah, that's true. I'm in another podcast called Big Gay Nerds, where me and a bunch of cool queer friends get together and try out tabletop games. I haven't quite played a murder hobo yet. I sort of played a murder hobo in our Blaze in the Dark game, but it was very like restrained kind of murder hobo. It was a classy murder hobo. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we're always trying out different systems. We've played Blades in the Dark. We've played Monster Hearts. We play a little bit of D&D. We're always doing different stuff. It's a lot of fun. Right now we're playing Beam Saber. It is a mech game based off of the Forged in the Dark system, so the same system that powers Blades in the Dark. I like it a lot. I love it. So please come check us out. We're at Big Gay Nerds on SoundCloud, and you can find the links to the rest of our social media from there. Thanks.
What do you got?
Oh, I was going to pass the buck to you this time.
Birdly isn't evil enough.
We don't get to say fuck Birdly, because, we reserve that for things we really truly dislike, and he's just annoying. Yeah. What do we really and truly dislike? The problem is that I like everything in Deltarune, right? That's the problem. Fuck waiting for 2 years for the next chapter. Does that count?
Yeah, I hope it doesn't take that long this time, now that he's got a team working with him.
He's got like 18,000 people from Twitter making this video game with him, and he says it's all written. So really, Ben, we have to... Okay, Here's what we're gonna do, right? We're gonna find where the dog lives, and we're gonna break into his house, and we're gonna take the Deltarune script, and we're just gonna find out what's happening.
Well, you know what we would do what would happen if we did that is that he would get in his little Fisher-Price car and run us both down.
Yeah, he would run us over for sure. Yeah, that's true. Good point. So, shit, there goes my only plan instead of waiting for 2 years. Fuck.
We just gotta wait.
Good night, everyone.
All right, that's it. Good night, everyone.